You stupid bitch. Yeah, you're a stupid bitch. You stupid bitch. Welcome to another episode of Stupid Bitches Say What, the Aussie podcast about everything and nothing, but always with wine, as you may have noticed. Hashtag last week, hashtag SARS. This week, we are hosting our first Taboo Tuesday episode, which we're very excited about. This theme makes a special appearance whenever we have that fifth Tuesday in the month.
And thank you to all our fellow stupid bitches for your taboo topic suggestions. You certainly gave us a lot to ponder. Listen as we delve into Taboo Tuesday. And don't forget to tune in next week for our first OVS annual Christmas episode. We're excited to share our Jingle Bell love with you all and to introduce you to our significant others, Vinny and Tyler, in our special Meet the Partners segment.
Squeeze!
What are you drinking, Sean?
Well, this week I'm drinking The Colour of Night. It's a good Pear Days one. You see the
It's
bottle
a movie
actually
called
comes.
The Colour of Night, isn't it? There's a movie.
It is. Yeah, or The Colour of Money, or yeah.
Colour of Night. Yeah.
It is it's a Cab Sav, 2018,
20
from the Limestone Coast. I know.
Nice.
And there's a label motion on it. Download the app, scan the label below, and live the experience.
Sure.
Oh,
Do it.
I'll do that. I will do that, but I won't do that now because you know how distracted I get on my phone.
Yes, no phones allowed. My phone's like so far away from me, and even if I wanted to use it, well, actually, I don't. I'm always too focused on the podcast, and of course, you.
Oh, thank you.
And also, I have good manners.
You do have good manners. I've noticed the wall behind you is clear.
Oh, yeah, because I used to have photos on it.
Mm.
Yeah, and they were very haphazard photos too. No, because I've been packing, I've been cleaning, I've been packing, I've been getting everything done. So, yeah.
Progress has been made.
Yes, that's why it's clear, because we've only got 3 weeks to go before we.
I know, we're back in the same time zone. Woo. Looking forward to it.
Too.
We say that now. In 10 weeks' time, we'll be like, go back to fucking Central Coast. My liver.
Oh my God, we never get sick of each other.
It's true. It is true. So, how has your week been? You've been packing and...
Yes, look, it's been a full-on week. I've had work, I've been packing in between, I've been doing all those things that you have to do to get the house in order when you're a tenant. I hate renting. I'll just put that out there. You know me. I've been a homeowner a couple of times in my life, but moving to the Central Coast, I've rented, and it's just everything that you need to get in order to hand the house back. It's just a bit of a hassle. But I will quickly share
the good old bond
story. Clean. Yeah, the bond clean. Having to get the pest control, the carpets clean, yada yada. But I think I've told you before. We have our cat, our delightful Stripey the baby,
yes.
Has ripped a hole in the carpet out our bedroom door. And I showed the real estate last time they were here, and they were aware of it. But I've been peeking a little bit because I thought I would have to replace the whole carpet because it's quite old, and a repair, you're just not going to find the same carpet, and yada yada. Anyway, so I did my research and looked at what's reasonable when it comes, the tenant rights, your rights as a tenant sites and stuff like that. And because it's old carpet, you only really have to replace it to the depreciation value. So basically anything for more than 10 years, you don't have to do much because 10-year-old carpet's basically worth nothing. However, I was expecting still a bit of a fight from the real estate, and I rang them to be like, so this is what we're going to do. We've got someone coming out to replace the carpet for us, but they have to take a chunk out of the master bedroom cupboard to put the carpet in the spot, which means there's going to be a chunk missing in the cupboard, or we can pay you the depreciation value, which would basically probably be $100. But I was prepared to give them a couple of hundred because we damaged the carpet. It's our responsibility.
Yeah.
But I certainly didn't want to replace the whole house when it's
it's
old, filthy. There's cigarette burns from the previous tenants at the supermarket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like it's really, and it's very smelly. Like when we moved in, it's always had this really rank smell, and I'm always like spraying air freshener. I've had it professionally cleaned a few times just because the people before us, I think, had pets inside and stuff. Anyway, so I rang
Smoked
the real
inside,
estate.
obviously.
Yeah, smoked inside, all the cigarette burns. Anyway, so I rang the real estate to talk to them about it, and she turned around and said to me, because I said I was getting the quote to get it repaired with this patch, and also getting a quote for it to be replaced in case they were going to force that point. And she goes to me on the phone, she goes, "Oh my God, we would never expect you to replace it. We would never even expect you to replace that room." She's like, "We can't ask you to do that. That carpet's way too old and disgusting."
Oh my God.
And I was gobsmacked, and I was like, because I was expecting a bit of a fight on my hands. That's why I'd done
You're
my
like,
research.
yeah, you're damn right you can't.
And I was ready to, have this big argument and, use my best professional work voice to try to influence the situation.
Shag pile carpet going around.
Yeah, so she goes to me, look, she goes, it'll be one of two things. That the owner either agrees to you getting it repaired, it cost me $150 in the end, or he agrees to a monetary compensation value, but that would be minimal because it's worth fucking nothing because it's so old, this carpet. So he couldn't really ask for a large compensation amount. Anyway, he came back and said he wanted it repaired, which was fine. Like, it was $150, and we were more than happy to pay that. And I was even happy to probably chuck in like $300-500 towards him repairing it.
You're preparing for the worst.
But the real estate was just so reasonable. And see, the other real estates I've had before have been absolute fucking nightmares. Yeah. And these people would just, and I have to say, the whole time we've been here, they've just been really cool. Even when they came for an inspection and stuff like that, they were just really lovely and really nice. And the whole time we've been renting with them, they've been great. So it was a really good experience, and I thought I'd share, because if you're a tenant and you listen to this, you do have rights, and sometimes you need to, investigate what that is.
Yeah.
And sometimes people can be nice about it and not be.
I wonder if it's because remember our place at East Brisbane, how it was decrepit and quite old, and the people before us that were there had fucking, like, used to take car engines apart on the deck and shit like that. Jeez. So they probably had, and your previous tenants at that house obviously didn't have too much respect or concern. So we've probably come in, and same with you in that one, they've been a god sent to them, just like, oh God, whatever. Yeah, like our ones when we left weren't too bad at all. Even when we'd get inspections, we did vacuum. We wouldn't really do a big cleanup, and they were happy with it.
Not to derail this conversation, just based on tenant stories, but the old rental that we had, similar.
Well, it is a bit taboo.
When we were moving out, it was a house that they had painted everything over and made it look quite nice when we moved in, but it was a very old asbestos house and stuff, and things sort of just deteriorated. I was there for 3.5 years, so I was a bit worried when I moved out of there, and when we were moving, the neighbours next door came over, and I always thought they hated us because we had a lot of parties, and there was, the front deck. You've been to the front deck there.
I have partied on that deck.
Several times.
Till
about 9 a.m, I believe we partied one time.
We didn't get there till once.
Yes, but we had some crazy parties there. So the neighbours used to wave to us and stuff like that, but I was pretty sure that they hated us. Anyway, once the rental sign was out the front, they came over to talk to us about leaving, and they were like, "We're devastated that you're going." And I was like, "Oh, really?" I was like thinking that you guys would hate us because we're quite noisy. He's like, "Oh, I'm half deaf. My missus turns the television all the way up anyway. We wouldn't hear anything no matter what." Yeah. But he said the people before you, they had completely just, torn the place apart. Apparently there was a homeless guy living in the garage because it was a separate garage, and he used to cook his food in the backyard in like a brazier and was out the front, and they didn't pay rent for all this time.
Oh, God.
There was no electricity. There was no running water. There was about 8 people living
Sounds like Grey Gardens.
And he said, it was really hard because there was all these people, there was all these cars, there was rubbish everywhere, it was horrible, and it was like, it was great to have you guys as tenants because you took after the place.
And some people, that's when people actually realise a bit of noise ain't that bad.
Yeah, they actually burned out the kitchen. The whole kitchen was replaced before we moved in because they had a small kitchen fire.
Fucking hell. I love it. Like, we're in units, as you know, and it's so quiet. And we go out on the deck and have a few fucking sessions every now and then, and I love it when I hear parties going on other decks around me, and I turn the
Yeah.
music down. I'm like, shh, listen, there's
Yep.
life. There's life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And or when
Yeah.
across the road has a big party on their pool deck on the top of the building. I fucking love it.
I know,
There's so
I
many
love it
complaints go out.
too, and I always keep, a couple of packets of earbuds at my place. So if they're because we live near a pub now, and it can get a little bit rowdy. And then if people do have a really bad party and it goes to the wee hours, I'm like, that's what you got earplugs for. Chuck them in.
That's it. Yeah. It costs me $1.
Yeah.
I don't have to complain.
Yeah. And then also it means next time you have a party, you can be like,
They can go
well,
fuck themselves.
you
Yeah.
have a party. I didn't call the police. I put up with it.
Bitch, time to return your favour.
Yes. Anyways, shall we move on?
Sure. So my week?
I think you've missed something.
Oh. What are you drinking, Sky? Which
totally,
is funny.
I
Because
totally
last
monopolized.
week I got you twice.
You did get me twice. And that's why I was like, he's undercompensating this week. I did monopolise that whole segment there. I did talk mostly about my tenancy experiences, so I can understand why you would have thought I had already discussed the wine I'm drinking. So I'm pretty sure, like last week, this is one that I've done before. Unless I didn't do it, unless we've just talked shit about it. But I'm drinking the Engine Room by Hamish Maguire.
Yeah, that was the first week.
Yeah, but it was
It's called the English Room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was calling it. And I wasn't even that drunk then. But I think it was a different one. I think it was a Grenache.
It was a Grenache? Because I was
Well,
drinking Grenache, yeah.
this week, it's a 2020 McLaren Vale Cabernet Sangiovese.
Oh, you're on the Sangiovese.
Or is it Sangiovese? Again, we've had this conversation. God,
Sangiovese.
Sangiovese. But this is one that I buy so many bottles of because it's just delicious and I love it.
I have to get the Engine Room next time.
Make
Got
sure
$120 credit. All right, I'll get a Sangiovese.
Well, I've got heaps of credit too, but there's no point me getting them delivered because I'm just going to
Not yet.
stand with me.
Not yet, but think of, Well, they've actually released some French champagne, and they don't usually do that, and that's like a $50 a bottle, so save it up for that.
I've been ignoring all their promos because I can't focus on buying at the moment. I need to focus on reducing clutter.
Makes sense for a sensible lady.
So how's your week been, Sean? Enlighten us.
Oh, thank you for asking. So I had
You're welcome. You're so very welcome.
I had Monday to Wednesday off as pre-planned holiday. We were meant to go down to Melbourne on the Friday. Well, originally we were meant to go down to Melbourne on the Friday and then have the Monday and Tuesday off. So obviously the Friday's Monday, Tuesday. Then with all the border shit and whatnot, we were meant to see Moulin Rouge, the stage show. We were devastated. I know. The stage show too. It's so good. And then we made a call about, maybe 6 weeks or 2 months ago to just cancel it, which was all very easy. Got our money back from the tickets. The accommodation was fine. Flight credit back into credit. So anyway, what we decided was we'd have the Monday to Wednesday off instead. And we both had our Christmas parties on the Friday, which we would have missed if we'd gone to Melbourne. So that actually worked out quite well because, as you may or may not know, I was pretty trashed last episode. And I came straight from the Christmas party. Yeah. So I then lived 5 days.
Kept me waiting.
I did. And I then had 5 days of pure mental anguish about returning to work. So it was a bit of a shit week, really. But it was a nice week in the sense we got out and did a few things. We went down to Cedar Creek Falls. We caught up for lunch. Yeah, caught up for lunch with some old friends from Sunshine Coast and one of our neighbours. And what else? We did something else that was sort of eventful, but then the rest were just chilled, which was nice. But I fronted the office on Thursday and I found out that I had fuck all to worry about because the party then continued on until about 3 o'clock in the morning. And everyone then who went to that one couldn't remember anything of the day before. So I was in the clear.
Yeah. It's like that episode of How I Met Your Mother, nothing good happens after 3 a.m. It's like nothing good happens after a certain point of the work Christmas party.
Yeah.
Like, you really want to be the first one to go, because
Yeah.
if you don't go, you stay, and then it just goes downhill.
And then you got some shit to try and think about, or some gaps to
Yeah.
fill. Yeah.
Oh, gaps. Yeah, that's the worst, gaps. And you're like, I don't even remember. And then people go, oh, you were with blah, blah. And you were like, was I?
Well, that's what I remember.
What did I say?
I remember having a conversation with the CEO. All I remember is going down a trip down memory lane. Was like, remember this, remember that, and then some other conversations that I don't remember what it involved, and then I was just panicking. But no, it was all fine. Thank God. I did. I just panicked. But no, it's been a good week. It's been a good week.
Oh, that's good. That's great. And now it's going to finish off with our first ever Taboo.
Our first Taboo Tuesday.
Taboo Tuesday. It's Friday, but it will be released on Tuesday. So Taboo
That's
Tuesday,
right.
recorded on a Friday.
And edited on a Monday or a Sunday. It's a process, people.
So much goes
for those listening at home.
Producing this artwork for you.
It's just the two of us. I know it seems like a full fucking team is behind us. Obs.
That we're
But it's just
professionally
us.
produced and marketed.
Yes, yeah, it's just us. From go to wire.
It is
All right, let's delve into some of our taboo topics. So as Sky said earlier, thank you to our fellow stupid bitches. We did a call out for topics because we want Taboo Tuesday topics to be from you guys. We want to be able to give the power over to you so you can tell us what you want us to hear, what you want to hear from us. And our first topic is from one Vinnie Kirby, #husband, and it's on something that's a big topic and will come into play obviously in the beginning of the year because it's changed the date. And this refers to when Australians celebrate Australia Day, which is currently on the 26th of January.
Also known as Invasion Day.
Also known as Invasion Day. So the reason why it is known as Invasion Day, and fun fact for those listening, is that Australia is the only nation in the world to celebrate its national day as the day it got colonized. Only one. And that was the date when Captain Cook came into Australia, and our history is our history, but did some terrible, terrible things to our Indigenous population and has continued on for years and years afterwards.
That's it.
Over 200.
Yeah, and it's a day that you should be able to celebrate the nation, but unfortunately, not everyone in Australia wants to celebrate on that day or for the reasons that we're celebrating.
Yeah.
Being
Australian. So basically, yeah, when we got colonized, the Indigenous population there was a big genocide. Basically, is that the right word? Genocide? Yeah. Of that population, there's been a whole heap of shit that's gone down since then in trying to force the Indigenous population into living into the ways that
stolen children generation.
Well, there's the stolen children, but also integrate them into our Western lifestyle of living. Then, of course, there was the stolen children generation where they stole children from Indigenous families and sent them over to England or sent them to live with Australian families as a way to try and convert them and to stop them from having their traditional values and living our way of life, which is just terrible. There is also the issue that there's a lot of very passionate people, patriotic people who are like, no, this is Australia Day on the 26th of January. Yeah. I don't know where all of that drive comes from. I think it's one, people don't like change.
Apparently it's a little bit about symbolism too, because other dates, it's hard to find something that symbolises something worth recognising as a nation on different dates. There's some suggestions, and that's part of my research, but it's a bullshit reason, I think.
Oh, it is 100%. I mean, there is, and I get it because I don't think we should name Australia Day Invasion Day. I think that's just something.
Oh no, I don't think so. That's just got negative connotation. connotation.
It's just negative connotation. It's never going to do us well. It needs to be a joint day where we celebrate Australians as a whole as we are now. We acknowledge the past. We acknowledge the terrible things that had happened. And I'm sorry for my forefathers, actions and all that shit. I have no problem with apologizing for what happened in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
But it's also worth noting that Australia Day only became a public holiday in 1988.
Yeah.
The cat has just done a shit. I need to.
1994. Oh, go.
I've just got to clear it. So yeah, I think it was 1988 because that was the bicentennial year, and that's when they started making it a public holiday.
I was reading that subject. I actually thought it was 1994, but I'm not going to fact check you.
We'll do that afterwards.
I know. We will just quickly mention that we have noticed recently some of our statements are maybe a little bit shy of accurate.
Of the truth.
They're said with a genuine, heartfelt commitment to being truthful.
It's what we believed.
And it's what our inebriated minds believed at the time. Yeah. But yeah, I think we need to start fact checking after the fact. But yes, I was reading a little bit about it today, and there's also a bit. I went to Wikipedia, of course, but there's so much information. Here we go. The suggested alternative dates.
Yeah.
So one of them was the Federation of Australia, which is the 1st of January, but yuck, that's going to be the 1st of January after New Year's.
Yeah, no one wants that.
Already got a public holiday. There was the 19th of January, so Federation of Australia, 1901. That's an alternative date. That seems the most relevant to me, I think. Independence Day, the 3rd of March. It represents the enacting of the Australian Act 1986, but I'm not certain. I didn't have time this afternoon to research what the Australian Act in 1986 represented. So I like the 3rd of March. I think that's good.
An Independence Day would be good, but that could also have those connotations of, I guess, invasion, for the Indigenous. I think I've also heard of May 8, mate, as a day.
Mate, I thought that was cute too. I didn't mind that, yeah.
So you know that our Indigenous population is still not recognised in the Constitution?
I know, I have recognised. I had those stickers, remember, on the back of my car. I recognised it was like a movement to try to get them put into the Constitution, yeah.
I think
Which is bullshit. It's absolute bullshit.
That's still not happened. But maybe when we get that to happen, that should be the day.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But ultimately, it should be, people who in Australia who are impacted should be able to all come together and discuss it.
It should be,
representatives of our nation, all people and all walks of life should be able to come forward and have their say. But do you know what the problem is? And this is just from what I was reading today. Number one is all the polling that goes out, and it's not formalised polling. It's just, newspapers doing surveys and media sites doing surveys and whatever the case may be. No one's really for changing the date. At best, in the last year or so, we've gotten up to about, 30% of Australians who want to change it compared to...
It just baffles me.
Exactly. And then also the other thing is, I was reading today that you need to have federal and state governments on board for the legislation to be put in place to get any sort of traction. So it's just not something that's prioritised, which is a shame, because I do. But then if the polling, and look, it's based on what I know, that it's not accurate polling, and it's not very recent polling either. So
it doesn't surprise me that percentage, though.
But I guess if it's not unanimous, or there's not everyone wanting to do it, then it's going to be hard to pass it in Parliament as well, or get the right agenda to get it passed, which is a shame.
But look at when the marriage equality referendum happened. That was only 60%.
Right. They did say for a while that there was more people against it than there was people for it, and it passed, didn't it?
And it only passed by 60% to 40%, and they still made the change.
Yeah, it may be when something's on the line and it's really serious, and Australia has to come together and really formalise the opinion as individuals. Maybe they will step up and recognise that it's not about having a day off.
Exactly.
It's great to have a public holiday, but it's also about, like, I
You want to feel.
love Australia Day, but
I
don't
loved
anymore.
Australia Day.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I loved it, and it because you became woke to the actual connotations of it and the situation around it. But I'd love to be able to love it and celebrate it again, and have the public holiday.
Yes, and look, it's probably only the last 5 to 10 years that I've realised the negative that goes with it, and reasonably so. Like, I honestly think we should change the date. I don't really know what date to change it to, and I think that, there needs to be a lot more put into that to try to figure that out. But I loved celebrating Australia Day. I loved having the Australian flag. I loved, wearing my Aussie stuff and putting my Aussie tattoos on. I loved listening to the Hottest 100 every year, and they've changed it. They've changed it. They changed it to make a point, which, is great. But it would be nice if we could come together and celebrate it holistically,
where everyone can actually celebrate it.
Exactly, and it'd be something that, you can take joy from, because now when Australia Day comes, even though I get a public holiday, I don't feel as vocal about woo, Aussie as I used to. I feel like it's
Do you know what annoys me about it too is when you have people that say Happy Invasion Day, and I'm like, yeah, I get that, but then they go off and join a barbecue or celebrate or join a party and stuff. I just think that's so hypocritical.
Yeah, I do too. I think it just. But I was reading something as well. There was a couple of councils, and I believe they were all New South Wales councils, and I can't quote you the days because now I've had 2 glasses of red wine and my head's a little bit fuzzy. And I haven't
check. It's fine.
I haven't written notes like I normally do, because we were just going to, throw a few things out there tonight. So when I was doing a bit of a very, very brief research today, a few councils came together in recent times and said, look, they weren't going to have the citizenship days. So citizenship days are obviously held when you get sworn in as an Australian citizen.
And they have a Australia
Day. Yeah.
Well, that's the big one. They are throughout the year.
Yes.
But that's the big one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's only 2 dates. I was reading a law that ScoMo put through. It's 1 day in September, and Australia Day, I think there's only 2 days of the year.
Okay.
Get
well, that makes sense, because I think Vinny was September.
Yeah, so when they refused to hold citizenships on Australia Day, then the federal government revoked their right to be able to grant citizenships, as their right was as a council, because it's local government law that they can do it, which is backed by the federal government. So they turned around and said, well, you can't have citizenships. Byron Bay was one of them, I think. But then Scott Morrison did something in 2019 that basically said there was 2 dates that you could have citizenship ceremonies on, but that they should still be held on both dates. You couldn't just use the September one if you were a council who felt that you didn't want to use Australia Day for citizenship.
Who wanted to represent.
Still had to use 2, but there's 2. So I don't think that really makes that much difference in the scheme of it, really. But I thought it was really interesting that some councils stood up and said, we don't want to have citizenships. We don't want people to
and that'll continue.
Australian. Yeah.
The ball motion, like even still now, like we live in West End and we've got a Boundary Road or a Boundary Street. Boundary, what they're named after is they were roads that were when they were named were literal boundaries where Indigenous people couldn't cross after 5 p.m. and stuff like that. And the fact that they still exist, the names of boundary roads and whatnot, is also quite insulting and should be changed.
Yeah, but I do love the big Indigenous flag.
In the middle of our intersection.
In the middle of the intersection. Every time I drove over it, I'm just like, I love this. It just always makes me really nice and warm and fuzzy, and I just love it. And it gets done
every year.
Yeah, I just think that's a really nice part of West End. It's just, it's lovely. But, I think, I like to think that a lot of Australia feels the way that we feel. It's just exactly like you said about, marriage equality. Maybe politicians need to put it on their agenda and really push for it. It's never seems to be on anyone's agenda. It just seems to be something that people throw their 2 cents in. It's not something that there's any type of push to try to make any movement from
To actually do something from it. People just have opinions. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
we need to start a letter writing campaign.
Get in there and support us, listeners, and we'll do that. Get us to 10,000 listens, and we'll use them as signatures.
We'll force that fucking agenda.
Yeah, we'll force that.
That was one of the photos I was going to post because we were talking about doing a flashback. Friday post of our friendship, and we've got that photo where we were
Terry Butler,
yeah, where we were campaigning for a Me, You and Vinny, and I was going to use that photo, and I was like, ha 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 ha. Your hosts get political sometimes.
Yeah, we sure fucking do.
But I would definitely get behind a politician who was going to try to, put something to Parliament about Australia Day, and or at least try to get people talking about it in the right.
Yeah, I think something like that is a lot more fucking relevant than the religious discrimination bill.
I know, I've seen that.
The thing that pisses me off about that is we're not allowed to discriminate against churches who are discriminating against others.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? You fucking wankers.
Look, I don't pretend to know a lot about it because I've only seen bits and pieces, but I saw something on the news the other day that was basically saying that if it passes, religious bodies, so certain churches and stuff, they can not hire people and not give employment opportunities if you're not their type of religious following.
Yeah.
And I just thought
the same with schools.
Anywhere else
and even if you are
allowed to do that,
yeah, exactly.
Do that. Why? Because of their religion, can they get away with that?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's this whole stupid thing. Let's not discriminate against them discriminating against others, like you wankers. They can fire, even if you're a Christian working at a Christian college, if you're gay, they have the right to fucking sack you because it's not part of their beliefs.
And that's what they're trying to pass. That's actually what they're trying to pass, that it's legal. So if you start working there and you keep that part private, and you never ever disclose that, and they find out that you're homosexual, they can sack you, even though you've been doing your job perfectly. We may need to fact check that. I believe that's part of it. Fact checkers. We're talking a lot about fact checkers and how we need to get fact checkers, but you guys who listen, you don't really listen for the You can fact check us anyway. Comment. No one fucking comments. Listen for the hilariousness. Hilarity. And listen to us get drunk. But it's an important topic that changed debate, and we both support it, which is great. Yes, so it's something I want to get into debate with my co-host, so that's good. Yes. All right, so our next topic is from one Belinda Bostart. It is Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, and you're going to talk about also known as Belinda Bo Desert. Belinda Bo Desert, Belinda BB. Look, you're going to take this topic off, aren't you? Because you've been watching some documentaries about it this week, haven't you? So I watched the Jeffrey Epstein Filthy Rich on Netflix. I've only watched a couple of episodes so far. So how many eps, please? How many episodes? I'm not sure. I think. Oh, sorry, Strappy. Oh, my cat is just about to do a hairball next to me, or is eating something. Ew. My cat is also doing that next to me. He's picking at something in the car. I think she was eating something. What it was, I don't know. It was probably a bit of fucking fluff, which will then create a hairball because that's what our cats do. But yeah, Jeffrey Epstein. So I think maybe 5 eps. I'm not too sure. So I'm 2 episodes in, but obviously we all know about the scandal surrounding Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew and fucking. Look, I know there was an island, and he was very, very wealthy, and then he had in the Virgin Islands. Yes, yep. And he was basically grooming women, but also underage women. Underage women. But they refer to him as a pedophile as well, but I don't know what the age is. Is it any underage child? It's like 14. 14? Right. 14 to 17 so far that I've seen. So what he did was, he lived this back in the early 2000s. He lived Giselle. In, her name's Giselle. Giselle. No, it's Ghislaine, something like that. Ghislaine. Ghislaine or something. Ghislaine. Yeah, I think it's that. Took me out. I thought that was just a fancy way to say Elaine at first. So it's like, what the fuck? Elaine. But yeah, that's his girlfriend. So in the early 2000s, they have a mansion in Palm Beach, Florida.
And literally, when they show you the documentary, there's a bridge, and I think it's called West Palm. There's a bridge that goes over from Palm Beach to this place called West Palm, and it's the difference between, it's like literally the other side of the tracks. So you got huge mansions and all that shit, and all fucking extremely
I'm so
wealthy
sorry.
people.
My cat's ripping up the new carpet. Hold on.
Oh God.
Ow.
Yeah, so it's literally like the other side of the tracks scenario. So in Palm Beach, Florida, they got all the fucking mansions, like huge mansions and filthy rich fucking millionaires, billionaires. On the other side of the bridge is like, I'm going to say the ghetto, but it's like the slums. It's very middle to low class income
Sure.
families, all shacks and whatnot. So what he actually did was basically started a pyramid scheme. So he would get somehow some fucking 14-year-old to come in, and Jelaine, whatever her name is, used to be there as well. So they'd sort of feel secure. He'd invite them around for something to give them a job opportunity, whatever like that, and then end up sort of going in for a cuddle in their bed or groping their boob or whatever. There was one girl that was saying she was sat on the couch, and then his hand came over and started just fondling her tit while Jelaine did the other tit. And then she was just sitting there, just like tears coming down. And Jelaine grabbed her hand and was like, "It's okay, it's okay, it's okay," comforting her while Jeffrey Epstein was grabbing her tit. But then what he'd do is he'd then pay him $200, or he'd get him around for a massage. And so he'd be on his massage bed. They'd have to rub his feet, massage him. He was a fucking narcissist and absolute manipulator. So they'd massage his feet, and then he'd say there's $200 there, or he'd say, get them to take off their clothes and whatever, and then fondle them, and then they'd get their $200 and go. But anyone who would sort of back away or didn't want it, he'd still give the $200 and said, any friends that would like this, I'll give you $200 for every friend that you can bring around, basically. So it ended up becoming, so these girls who were victims then became recruiters and were then getting their friends
Wow.
to come around to make $200 to massage, rah, rah, rah. And it ended up being this huge fucking spider web, basically, that all him and Jelaine were the epicenter of, and all these recruiters around him. So it was literally like a pyramid scheme. You get 5 friends, and then those 5 friends get
You
5 friends.
scream.
We are scream
The ass
for
scream.
pyramid scheme.
My house, your house.
My house. Oh my God, we haven't had a house for ages.
We haven't had my house, your house for so long.
Ages. And so yeah, so then that person would recruit 5. Those 5 would recruit 5. So he had this constant turnaround of fucking underage women coming to his house. It got reported, and he got off with a plea deal in 2008. That's when I think, and I haven't gotten up to this part, but that's when I think he's gone over to the Virgin Islands as his residency and just then started more of the fucking, what do they call it?
2008 was still a different time. And did he have sex with any of them, or did he just?
Yeah. No, there
did?
was sex and all
was
that.
it consensual?
He would.
They were all underage, so he got off with a plea in 2008.
Got off with the plea because he was a fucking billionaire or a gazillionaire. So money talks, and they also threatened. So Jelaine would call up some of the people and saying, like, this is a very dangerous tactic you're pulling here, trying to get Jeffrey in trouble. I know that you run down the highway at this time of the day. A lot of accidents happen on those highways. And then one of the girls was saying she changed her name and moved to another town. She did that a couple of times. And within a couple of months, she'd get the phone call, Lane, they're going, how's your new premises, rah, rah, rah. So they put these people under fucking, and they were very young.
Yeah.
As well. And I guess when you're in that situation, if you're 14 and you're in this fucking huge luxurious mansion and there's all this opportunity.
And there were runaways and stuff too, weren't they? They were all like
they were, yes,
on their own. Yeah.
And some who had been abused by their fucking people that they've known throughout their life as well. So it's sort of like a you've got no hope, you've got no choice, basically. He knew how to target victims, I guess, and make it. So then I haven't watched anything from that until now. But I did research about his death. So he, as we all know, he died in custody when he was in prison.
And she's funky looking too, isn't she?
Oh, he's funky looking as well. They say he's handsome. He was nearly 6 foot. He's got like a massive head.
Oh, I think he's
And bitch could
awful.
use some fucking Botox, I tell you. All that money and you didn't have a fucking flat forehead.
But do you know
Anyway,
what I think is funny is that they got her, and then where is she? She's not in prison, is she? She's in one of those fancy prisons or something, isn't she?
I think so, but I think her trial is sort of starting to come about now-ish, or it's going to happen in the next month or two, or something, or happened.
Right.
Yeah, so she's about to be put to trial. So when he got locked up in prison, and obviously he had connections with
Oh,
people like Trump.
14th of the 11th. She finally
Okay,
goes
cool.
on trial. It just says. She's wearing
2 weeks ago.
She's wearing the blue jumpsuit. She's she's not she's in prison scrubs. Oh, it's in the fucking Guardian. I can't read it
She's not in Chanel.
because it's paid for. But she looks good in this. It's just a sketch. She looks actually quite attractive in the sketch.
But she so he obviously swam in some big circles, some big pools with fucking Harvey Weinstein, Donald Trump, the Clintons, Prince Andrew,
Yeah.
all these other huge names. And then he was done and he was in prison. And he'd already made a statement about basically he would be able to bring down some huge fucking figures. So then he died in prison, which was through suicide. And I'm doing air quotes for the people who
Yeah.
can't see suicide. And then the shit that surrounded all of his about his death was very interesting. So he had a roommate, a cellmate for a while. The cellmate left, was transferred to another cell the day of his death. The two cameras outside the front of his cell stopped working. The day had malfunctions the day of his death. The checks that the guards were meant to do every half hour, they forgot to do. So there's all this shit. And then he was woke with, and then they found him hung in his prison cell.
And if he had that much money to get away with what he'd done for so long, imagine the people who he could incriminate, how much money they have and what they're capable of.
And was fucking Trump president at the time? I think he was, 2019.
Just, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and Trump is one of the fucking people that he colluded with. But also, so they had the people that meant to come and look at his thing. Oh yeah, so when they found him, he was hung, but they then they started doing cardiac arrest. He was in cardiac arrest. They started doing CPR. Then they took him out of the cell and took him to the hospital, which goes against all protocols. When someone's found dead in their cell and he was dead, they were meant to leave it as a crime scene, basically.
Right.
They didn't take any pictures of anything of how he was in his cell before they took him out. The strangulation marks on his neck, it's not consistent with what would happen if you had a bed sheet around your neck. There's like a cut that looks like it was done from a thin wire, like a ligature and like ligatures and all that shit. And there was something else. What is it? There was bones in your neck that break when you're strangled. There's bones in your neck, specific bones that will break that don't usually happen when you hang yourself. And his were broken. So there's all this. It sounds like it's an inside job to protect names. I mean, fucking Queen Elizabeth could have fucking ordered it. Who knows,
Yeah.
Prince
Don't
Andrew.
you speak shit about the Queen.
Well, Prince Andrew's been stood down of all his royal duties. He's no longer a patron of 260 fucking things he was a patron for and all that shit.
Yeah.
So
if anyone can handle scandal, though,
it's the Queen.
It's the fucking Queen, mate. She can handle all types of scandal.
Well, they thought she killed Di for a while. Do you remember?
Oh, they always, for years and years and years, they said, and they always talked about how much she hated her. But I haven't gotten to that bit in The Crown, so
yeah.
The tabloids are full of shit anyway.
They are, but there was a lot of interesting things surrounding Epstein's death here, and it sucks because as much as he deserved death, it sucks because there's a lot of people who deserve the same treatment as him that have now gotten away with it because he's been silenced forever.
Yeah. Well, do you know, in preparation for this, I did a bit of a Google search. I'm going to tell you a story first so you can understand how I got to this place. When COVID first happened, I went. It must have been when there was a bit of a break in COVID. But when I tell you the story, maybe we can figure out the date range. But what happened was I went to the hairdresser. I was talking to the lady who ran the salon. We were just small talking, just chatting. Link was getting his hair cut. And we were just, chatting at the desk, and we were talking about COVID and blah, 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 blah. And she was saying that she'd had COVID. She thought she had COVID but hadn't been diagnosed because she'd been really sick and all this shit. Anyway, and then I mentioned in conversation, oh, well, you could have had it because, Tom Hanks had it. This was just when he was visiting Australia. Do you remember when Tom Hanks was visiting Australia, and him and his wife got COVID, and they ended up in quarantine for 2 weeks. But apparently they had no symptoms, and that's what I was saying to her. People can get it, and this is what we were sort of gossiping about. And then she turned around to me and said, well, you know why Tom Hanks said that he had COVID is because he was all caught up in the whole, Jeffrey Epstein thing, and it was a distraction from the fact that, he is part of that group, and he claimed to have COVID so that he could, draw the attention onto something else and also be out of the States for a little bit longer. And I went, what? And I was like, please don't say shit about Tom Hanks. I fucking love Tom Hanks. Don't tell me he's a pedophile. Like, that's insane. And that was the first time, even though the Jeffrey Epstein, I keep going to say Weinstein. For some reason, I get them confused.
Well, he was, same really. And he was colleagues with, well, not colleagues, but he hung out with Jeffrey.
Yeah.
No, with fucking Harvey.
So, I was gobsmacked that she was saying that basically she believed that Tom Hanks was, a pedophile. And then I was just shocked about it. Anyway, so I was Googling, and this was probably 12 months ago. It was the first COVID outbreak. And I think I Googled a little bit at the time, but I can't remember what I found. Anyway, so in preparation for this, I did a quick Google online, and then I found out that there's all these conspiracy theories out there, and basically Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson recently became Greece citizens, and apparently they... conspiracy theorists and people out there are saying that the reason they did that is because pedophilia is considered to be a disability in Greece as opposed to a crime, and that's actually bullshit, because then I was reading a website where they fact check,
isn't it crazy how much you can read into that stuff and it seems legit, but it's actually not real.
But there's also the flight plan. So apparently he was allegedly accused of flying to that island, his island in the Virgin Islands, and apparently, but there's no record of him ever being on the flight schedule in any way, because you don't have to declare passengers. But I'm sure when you're rich, it would be easy to not declare passengers. You could get away with that. However, there's a bit of information out there about maybe Tom Hanks being involved in some of the carry-ons on, and maybe being friends, and maybe being to some of the parties, etc.
It just doesn't look like he'd be that sort of sexually inclined.
I don't think so either. And I love Tom Hanks. I don't want him to be involved in it, and I hope that
100%. But do you know what you're talking about? Pete Evans came out with this thing when all that happened with Tom Hanks and COVID as well, and he was going in his whole conspiracy theory about how it was like, you watch the news now, any major superstar now that gets COVID is basically a pedophile, and the same sort of deal.
Well, and that's a bit weird. Maybe maybe this hairdresser
code
had
names.
Seen that, read that article, and that's where she got it from. But
it was like code for them being a pedophile or something. And it's just like, look, okay, you're going to get COVID, but if your name comes up in the Jeffrey Weinstein, fucking, you've done it to me now. Jeffrey Epstein thing. They're not going to just be like, oh, he's got COVID. That's going to take over the headlines. It's not, fucking every man and his dog has COVID, had COVID at that point. If you're a fucking filthy rich dude, fucking underage fucking women, that's going to trump that for sure. So we'll move on from Epstein. So now we're going on. So there were our two big topics to really go on to. So just sort of touch on these next ones. This one, speaking of America, was from one of our listeners, Brad in Wisconsin. Thank you for your
Hi, Brad. Hi, Brad.
Host parties and obligations towards them. So Brad's talking about things like Tupperware parties and linen parties. And it is a bit of a taboo topic. I find it a little hurtful myself. I have hosted quite a few. It is. I've hosted a few parties, whether it be plasticware, linenware, cleaningware. What else? There's something else in there for sure.
The cleaning one, I wanted to kill you over. But
turned up.
I'm
And he
going.
stayed out on the balcony while we were all in the house watching how she could clean our shower screen with water and a simple cloth.
I believe I said I refuse to spend my Saturday watching someone clean something when I would never actually clean it.
Do it myself.
Because I had a cleaner at the time, and I was like, why do I want to watch someone clean shit when I pay someone to clean it at my own house? Fuck that.
I remember there was 8 of us inside, and we were all walking around room to room, and you were just stood on the balcony, pacing left to right the balcony, like, is this shit over yet? Where's the food? I'm done.
Drinking.
What's
I was
going on?
just drinking too. Remember, I was just drinking wine.
You were disgusted with us. We'd come into the kitchen, which looked out onto the balcony, and you'd be looking at us like, the fuck is going on? I don't understand what's happening here.
Why is it taking so long to clean this shit? This party is just over. That's not the worst one.
You go.
That's not the worst one. The worst one is when you lied to me and said I was coming over for a barbecue.
Hang on, no, wait, before you finish that, can I just say, I lied to everyone.
Yeah.
It was just you.
But I am one of your best friends, and you lied to my face. And just to get me to come to your dumb Tupperware party. And I am a Tupperware fan. I enjoy Tupperware. I have a ridiculous amount of Tupperware. Too much for any one person. Not as bad as my cousin Melanie, though. She has way too much and she has like 4 children, and she still has way too much Tupperware. But I love Tupperware, but I had been to so many Tupperware parties at this point quite recently, and Bino just wanted to get more free shit, so he had a Tupperware party and tricked us all and said, come over, we're having a barbecue.
It's kind of the Epstein approach, though, isn't it? It's like, get one person on Tupperware. Yeah. Now you recruit 5 people. Now you recruit 5 people.
And here's me walking and going, let's have some fucking shots. Meanwhile, there's a Tupperware lady at the front of the room going, first, let me show you how to make avocado dip.
You know when it's locked, when it seal peels like that.
And I was like, fuck this.
We,
I know how to make avocado dip. I make the best avocado dip ever.
To be fair, we'd already had the Anzac Day barbecue planned. And then we went to one of my brother's Tupperware parties, and there was 4 of us there. And everyone knows how it goes. But they've made their $500 goal. All they need now is 2 more people to have a party, and they get the Supreme Award. And then my brother's looking at me. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, I can't. I literally just had one about 4 weeks ago. We've got a barbecue where yeah. And she's like, just make it a surprise. I do that all the time. I'm like, yeah, okay, fuck it. And the main thing was, 1, I was helping my brother, and 2, I couldn't wait to see the fucking look on my friends' faces. So we ended up having like a huge fucking Anzac Day barbecue. There was about 30 of the people there. And then she turned up an hour later. I wouldn't let anyone park in the driveway. Do you remember? I'm like, no, sorry, someone needs that.
Yeah.
And then next minute, fucking we're inside having a Tupperware party. There was a lot of people who refused, who sat outside.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'd still made jelly shots, I remember, and I tried to get everyone pissed as fuck on them for the hour before she turned up, just to sort
of. I wanted to finish your collection. There was a few pieces that were missing from your collection, and you knew that you'd get them mostly for free. And also because that Anzac Day barbecue was so big, and it wasn't your normal people who would come to a Tupperware party. There was heaps of other people coming, so you were like, yeah, newbies.
But let me
totally shove a catalogue in front of them. This is how I feel.
You never really get anything for free from Tupperware, so while you may get credit, you still end up spending fucking $400 yourself on shit.
That's like Lorraine Lee. You
never
really get anything for free from them.
Not until you spend, and then you've got to have a wow party again by having 2 other people sign up. Yeah. And then you've got to go to their parties and purchase shit from their parties. So you're very right, Brad. This is very taboo. And I think everyone hates people. This is what my mother used to say. I've always found myself to be one of the best friends she could have. I never had a Tupperware party, and I never made a dip.
What?
She never had a Tupperware party, and she never made a dip that she had to bring to parties and be like, try my dip. Everyone's delicious.
I always make dips and make everyone try them.
I always have fucking Tupperware parties. Yeah. We're not my mum's kind of friend.
Yeah. But has anyone truly been deceived by these kind of parties? Because I have. That's I can say that I have been. I've been manipulated.
By me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we've just been talking about for the last 10 minutes.
But there was also that time you became a Tupperware host.
Huh? How dare you?
You also were a Tupperware consultant guy yourself. So you've been on both sides. You've been tricked, you've been fooled, you've been swindled into buying Tupperware, and then you did the...
It's easy. The thing about I'm like a marketer's dream, right? Like you advertise towards me, and it's aimed at my demographic, and I will just eat that shit up. And when I
Guilty.
And because they're pretty and shiny and colourful, it's really hard to get rid of them. Do you know what I mean?
Even the cake holders, like those fucking square things. Yeah, we got loads of them. Hardly use them, but they're there.
Make a brownie, put your brownie in it, and take it to someone's house. But fucking give me my Tupperware before I go, please, unless I'm super drunk and I just forget it.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of Tupperware at people's houses. When you take a salad and you want to ask for it back, you're like,
Have you still got my Tupperware?
Sir.
I always ask for it back, always. Unless I forget where I've left it. I get to show off my Tupperware down here. But when I go to Brisbane, I know that I'll be making which is actually Vinny's potato salad. I say it's my famous potato salad, but it's Vinny's potato salad that I make.
Oh my God, I'm keeping this in, baby. You wait till you hear this.
That's his recipe, and I've been making it ever since Anzac Day, the same Anzac Day party that we were just talking about with the Tupperware. He made it at that party, and ever since I was obsessed with it. And I think I messaged him like
it's the best.
And said, "Give me that recipe," and he gave it to me.
Oh.
And people say to me every time I bring it, they say this is the freshest. And you've got to make it on the day, like you have to make it. And if you can serve it warm as well, it's amazing.
I will have it the next day after, and I'll sort of heat it up in the microwave and just have a fucking pile of it. It's sort of, it's so good.
But when it's fresh, like sometimes I'm just making it, and I rock up to a barbecue and it's just made, and people just froth it. They're just like, oh my God. And I'm like, it's amazing. I know, but I usually always give him credit. I'm like, it's actually not really my recipe.
Usually. Depends on the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's nice. Good. He'll like that. Shout out to you, Vinny. A couple of shout outs. A shout out to Gav from The Office, telling people I was famous at the Christmas party because of the podcast. I very reluctantly agreed. Try. And shout out to Sammy Joe O'Dwyer.
Always Sammy. Sammy's always
goodness.
She's a fan. She's our fan, number one fan.
So love you, Sammy. Thank you for listening. All right. So our next topic is from Jules Trethue. And Jules had said, so a thing was men holding the door for women. But I've changed it to chivalry in men. And should it still exist? Does it have connotations? And I'm going to say something that may come across as controversial, but I don't mean it to. But I say chivalry died when women got the right to vote. I'm not against women voting, but it's a cake and eat it situation. Like, I'm all for equality. I'm all for equality.
Yeah, I can.
But that also means that some of the fucking masculinity bullshit that went along with that has to die too.
But you know what the funny thing is? That even if sometimes women don't want that. They don't want the door to be held. Like, to be honest, I can't remember. Yeah. Like you see in the movies where a woman waits in the car while a man runs over and opens the door. That doesn't happen. Like, no. I don't want to wait for Tyler to run around the other side of the car and open the door. I'm already out. I'm in the house before him 9 times out of 10 anyway.
Pouring shots. Baby, I got you.
Yeah, because that's what I do every day. Every second of the day. I'm just drinking shots back here. But it is about the woman, I think. And also, look, what does chivalry actually really mean? It's like a knight thing, isn't it? It's
it's like throwing your coat down on a puddle so the woman can stand over it.
The wrong word, though. Maybe
I think, but that's what they say, chivalry.
Yes,
that's what they say when men is doing that whole shit. I think if you're the first at the door, open it for a man
Yeah.
or a woman, or a child or a
Yeah.
fucking dog or whatever,
Yeah.
open the fucking door and let the people in. That's the nice thing to do. If you're at the elevator and you push the button, and I still am I don't know what the word is, but I do this when if we're at the elevator and there's me and a woman or two women, I'll hold the door and put my hand in front of it and let the woman in first. If it's me and another man, I'll walk in and just put my hand in front of the door after I've walked in. And I need to stop doing that. I just need to start making it more of a just walk in, hold the door open. It doesn't matter who's there.
I think that's really sweet that you do that though, and it's also about your age. It's also about, you know, I would never do that because I'm a woman, so and I never expect
It's just
men
what you
to
brought
hold
it.
the door
Yeah.
open for me, but when they do, I always thank them. I'm like,
Oh,
thank you.
that's the other part. When you hold open the door and someone just walks straight in.
Yeah, I always say thank, and I always give them a smile, and then normally I start up a conversation because I just think it's a really friendly gesture when a man
Totally.
holds open a door for me or holds the lift for me. I think it's really nice, and I just think it's not about being a dude. I think it's just about trying to be socially nice as well.
You should do that as well for men.
Yeah. Well,
if you're first there.
Sure, but I don't.
know, but yeah, I know, but you should. That's like the thing. But when people don't thank us, and it's something Vinny and I hate. So if someone walks in and just breezes past you after you held the door for them, we're like, "You're welcome."
Yeah. Well, do you know one thing that always cracks me up about Nat is one time I was this is our friend Natalie Thomas, who she was saying to me one time, getting really, really aggravated about the fact she was driving and she let someone in front of her and he didn't give her a wave. And she came to my house. She was really aggro. She was like, when you let someone in and they don't give you a wave, like, what the fuck? And I was like, oh, Nat, let it go.
No, we're the same. We drive because West End. We live in West End, and it's an older suburb, and the streets aren't that wide. So, like, when you're driving up one, you have to pull over to the left and let a car come past. If those fuckers don't fucking give me the one finger salute, and I'm not talking about the middle one, you know, the one on the hand, the steering wheel where the finger goes up. Yeah. It's like, you're fucking welcome, asshole.
But I think chivalry, whilst it is the right definition, it's such an old word. So maybe in itself, you know, it's something that, look, you know, people define their own ways. But I'm wondering, like, Jules, you have to message us. If you listen to this one, please message us and tell us why you asked about this, because I'm curious if you were for the door being opened or against the door being opened. Because
for the door?
Because you have young children, so I think if you were to sit there and wait for Ben to come around and open the door for you.
So our next topic is from @Shutterbugs on Instagram.
Oh, Shutterbugs!
Shutterbugs said about dildos for straight men. Is it something that should be more openly accepted, or you know, is it still a taboo topic? And it's funny because, like, when you think back about even 10 years, I'd say, maybe 15, the only sex toy for men was a blow-up doll, really, that was catered to men.
Or one of those vaginas. There's vaginas that you...
Well, that didn't come out till later. So the fleshlights was something that came out maybe 15 years ago. Yeah. Never used one. I don't know what I'm missing out on. But it's like, yeah, basically like
They're also shaped like a vagina.
But you can get ones that are shaped like mouths and that are shaped like fucking asses and shaped like fucking all weird shit, even alien stuff. But so that was sort of the breakthrough in fucking sex toys for men, and dildos have always been catered for women. Like, you can obviously get just a single fucking rod that men can use as well, but usually, you know, you've got the dolphin tickler and all that shit.
Yeah. You know a lot about dildos, don't you?
Thank you.
For ladies.
I've had to hire a couple.
The dolphin tickler. Did you mean the rabbit?
Well, there's a rabbit. There's also the dolphin where it comes up and
it's like... a dolphin?
Yeah, it sort of swims out the top of the dildo like a...
I've never seen that before.
Google that shit. And
fucking Googling it right now.
But, like, it's now become more of a sort of accepted thing. Men don't mind getting their ass eaten out. You know what I mean? And previously that was a very fucking no-go zone because anything that happened down there meant I was gay. Guys don't mind a pinky up the butt. Some guys don't mind getting pegged, straight guys.
Straight guys.
But it seems like nowadays straight men are sometimes being a bit more open to anal stimulation.
Yeah.
There's obviously something that happens there because gays fucking love it. So it's not just a gay gene that you've
it's an erogenous zone. Like, everyone knows that.
Did you say erogenous?
Is that not what it is?
Erogenous.
Erogenous.
It sounds like a fucking pasta dish. Erogenous.
Erogenous.
We've got beef erogenous pasta for your dinner.
See, this is why we need fact checking, because we do mispronounce words all the time. What were we talking about? We were talking about bum stuff. We were talking about butt stuff. Yeah. So look. Yeah, I guess it's certainly a taboo topic. I think a lot of straight men don't want to admit that they're into the butt stuff.
Well, because it just automatically has a connotation that you're a pansy. Yeah.
But it's like anything. It's like, having sex with like a new person. Everyone likes something different. Do you know what I mean? So
everyone has their own kink.
Yeah, and everyone has their own thing that they enjoy, or they like to be touched a certain way. So it is what it is. Like, just own it. Don't worry about whether or not it means
what society thinks. Keep it for your own flesh.
Yeah,
exactly.
Own your sexuality. You know who you are.
Yeah.
You can like butt stuff and not be a homosexual, or maybe you are and you're in the closet.
You can have your cake and eat it too. Thanks, Shutterbugs, for that one.
If it makes you feel good, just do it.
Just do it. As Nike says. Yeah. So our final topic is pineapple on pizza.
Can't believe
I'm a hard no.
How are you a hard no?
Because I don't like pineapple on pizza.
I can't believe this has never come up. I can't believe I didn't know this about you. How have we not eaten pizza together?
We've eaten pizza together, but it's never been a Hawaiian. Or I've never divulged into a Hawaiian.
I love Hawaiian. And
what about pineapple fritters?
I love pineapple fritters.
And banana fritters from the fish and chip shop.
I prefer a pineapple fritter over a banana fritter, though. But in saying that, do you know at the big banana at Coffs Harbour, they do a sundae, which is a banana fritter in the middle with ice cream around it and topping all over the top, and it's fucking orgasmic. And I don't really like banana fritters that much, but it is so good, it will blow your mind. But if you don't like bananas or banana fritters...
I hate bananas in general. But I could see how that would be...
That's you and Beck. Becca hates bananas.
I hate them.
The smell of them.
Yeah.
Like, literally,
she
smells a banana.
I can eat banana lollies, but I just hate bananas. Ugh.
Yeah, I love bananas. I love bananas in smoothies.
So it's a no from me for pineapple on pizza, but it's a yay from you.
It's a big yay. I love it. Love it. And like to the point where if I'm making homemade... Did you just close your eyes?
No, I like blinked, I think.
Oh, you did a long...
I was scratching my eyes.
Why scratching your eyes? You were just doing a long...
No, I'm scratching my legs and I blinked.
You were having a moment with yourself, were you?
I was pegging myself.
But yes, if I'm making a homemade pizza, I need like a really big fuck off, tin of pineapple.
Oh God!
And I cover the pizza with pineapple. Yeah, I love it. And then cheese on top, and then like whatever other ingredients.
Thank you, Vinny. You've just ended our friendship. My friendship with Sky. Thank you.
Is Vinny for or against?
Oh no, he's totally for. I never order Hawaiian pizza. I'm like, no, sorry, bitch. I'll get Supreme that has pineapple on it and just pick it off, but we're never getting Hawaiian because then I'm just left with ham.
Is living his life without
poor fucking Vinny. Trust me. The amount of fucking food sacrifices I've had to make because of poor Vinny. He can forgo his Hawaiian pizza. Jesus.
Vinny, I'm on your side.
He doesn't care. No, he does. We do have one more topic that we have to give an honourable mention to. and this is from Kylie Deegan, which was the US involvement in Afghanistan. And I could not actually bring myself into discussing this
Afghan. Fucking hell.
Afghanistan.
Afghan.
I'm just not intelligent enough to throw my hat in the ring on that.
No,
Yeah.
it's such a deep-seated issue as well. Like, there's so many things, and then what Biden did, and then the lives that were lost, and it's been all quite. It amazes me. Do you know what I mean? When like the media in Australia, when America or the US troops first exited from Afghanistan, and then obviously Australian troops also did the same thing. It was on the news every second of the day, and I haven't seen an article on the news about Afghanistan in at least 2 months.
Yeah, like, no, I'm agreed.
Why do they not care anymore? Do you know what I mean? What about like responsible journalism? Like at that time, because everyone was like freaking out and for it or against it or whatever, they were just throwing it down your throat. And now they just don't give a shit, the media, you know?
Well, the Gulf War and all that stuff, that was huge, yeah. I mean, I know that was a long time ago, but that was stuff that was covered. But yeah, it's probably too many civilians dying and stuff like that. It's terrible.
And it's too awful there that they just, you know, don't want to report it.
Sweep it under the rug.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, that's speculation because we don't really know much about it.
Exactly. So thank you, Kylie, for that suggestion. Kylie's doing political science or something at uni at the moment. So she's very much more well equipped to answer questions about that or give opinions, but yeah, not me, I'm afraid.
But yeah, enlighten us, listeners, if you would like to educate us more about the conflict.
Send us a link, send us a comment.
And how they're doing in Afghanistan and, you know, your thoughts.
Yeah, we're all for it.
Listening to Stupid Bitches Say What and our very first Taboo Tuesday episode. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. If you like what you hear, tell your mates and follow our socials and YouTube channel. Stupid B Say What.
We'd love to hear from you, so please email us at stupidbsaywhat@gmail.com for feedback, topic suggestions, or just general chit-chat. We don't mind. Join us next week for our very first annual Christmas special. We are super excited about it.
Bye, stupid bitches.
See you, stupid bitches. Bye. Rolling cat hair balls.
Oh my god!
When I pat we've got long-haired cats. When you pat them in summer, you end up with a handful of hair. You got to roll it into a ball, pop it down on the counter, and then put it in the bin.
Oh, is that how you do it? What?
Yeah, that stupid bitch. He's a stupid bitch. What a stupid bitch. That stupid bitch.